Thank you. Good morning again. Thank you for gathering with us today. I'm State Representative LaKeshia Myers, representing the 12th Assembly District. Welcome to the 12th. We're here today because reckless driving has become an issue across this state, but I would say and argue that it has become endemic across the city of Milwaukee. It has become commonplace to see cars running red lights, stop signs, and weaving in and out of traffic for no good reason. This is translated into increased number of traffic-related deaths and grave danger. We've all seen the videos of what has happened in some of our public schools in the city, where individuals are doing donuts in the road. School buses have to now act as barriers for individuals who want to drive recklessly on school property. So we are doing what we can as the community, but there's more that we can do. Today I announced that with the help of Senators LaTanya Johnson and Kathy Bernier, as well as Representative Todd Novak, I've introduced the Safe Roads Save Lives Act. The Safe Roads Save Lives Act would allow the city of Milwaukee to utilize automated speed enforcement to curb reckless driving. This means, quite frankly, red light cameras. That's what we want. Red light cameras and photo enforcement. This is a reintroduction of this particular bill. It was originally introduced in the 2017 legislative cycle, as well as the 2019 legislative cycle, by our former colleague, Representative, now currently County Executive David Crowley. So this is that bill. Hopefully the third time will be the charm, because we need this legislation to happen in the city of Milwaukee. This is a collaborative effort between the Milwaukee Common Council, the Milwaukee Police Department, the Milwaukee Sheriff Department, the state legislature, and you, the community. I have heard you. I've heard the comments. I've received the phone calls in my office. Our aldermen and women have heard the comments. They have heard your call as well. The police department has heard your comments and your call for more action, and that's what we're here to do today. Be clear. Please let us be clear. I am not saying that red light cameras are a panacea. This is not going to eliminate reckless driving altogether, but it is an aid. It is a tool that is at our disposal that we should be able to utilize to help our police chief, who has the traffic safety unit in full force. What the red light cameras can catch will alleviate having to have personnel on the road to stop you for running a red light. They can focus on other things and catch people who are driving erratically and making sure that they're able to utilize resources better. This is a tool that we want to use and something that can help us help ourselves. And that is how I explain this to a lot of my colleagues who do not live in the city of Milwaukee. This is a tool that can help us help ourselves in the city of Milwaukee. I know that there are many other municipalities in Milwaukee County that also wish to have this particular resource. We're starting it here with the city of Milwaukee, and I encourage those local municipalities that are not first-class cities to lobby the state legislature to give them this opportunity as well. If it is something you want, gather together, get your people to send comments about this particular piece of legislation, and let's get this rolling. It's time out for playing games with people. Lives are being lost at too young an age. Elders are afraid to drive on the roads. We have to do something. At this time, I would like to yield to Chief Jeffrey Norman for some remarks at this time. Chief.
Thank you, Representative Myers. The Milwaukee Police Department is proud to be a part of this effort, as we recognize that we have the responsibility of traffic safety in the city of Milwaukee. We follow the guidelines of the 3 E's: engineering, education, and enforcement. This particular bill supports the E for enforcement. We just got a chance to meet with one of our residents in the city, hearing the plea and the concern in regards to the loss of a loved one. We are responding to that call for action. We understand that this is not an all-encompassing tool, but a part of a whole group of tools that we're utilizing within our community. We're asking for your support. As you can see, this is a multifaceted support from other representatives, alderpersons, our community leaders. We ask that we have the support of the community for this necessary tool. Thank you.
At this time, I would like to yield to Mr. Tracy Dent, who has been very vocal about reckless driving in the city of Milwaukee. Mr. Dent.
Hello. Like she said, my name is Tracy Dent, and I am an advocate, to help stop and curb reckless driving. The red light cameras must be implemented. We have to do whatever we can to curb the reckless driving that's going on in this city. Just like Representative Myers said, people are afraid. But we need to change that. We got to stop being afraid and start taking action as a community. The elected officials, the law enforcement, the community needs to all work together. Right now, we are in a state of an emergency. All hands on deck. We have to do whatever it takes to stop the reckless driving. Also, at the same time, we got to help our young people. Do whatever it takes to help them also, and our young adults, for they to understand that this is not a good thing to do. This is not a game. Like Representative Myers said, like the Chief Norman said, we have mothers losing their sons due to reckless driving. Imagine if that was your child. Just imagine. And how would you react to that? So yes, we all need to work together and help curb this reckless driving. And I definitely 1,000% support this piece of legislation. Thank you.
At this time, I would like to recognize some of my legislative colleagues that have joined us. Representative Supreme Moore Omokunde, Representative Dora Drake, and Representative Kaylin Haywood are here. We have representation from the Common Council, the County Board, as well as the Milwaukee Sheriff Department. Lieutenant Frank is with us today as well. At this time, we will take some questions from the press.
I stopped by the gas station, talked to some drivers before, coming over here, and a big question or concern for a lot of drivers is how is it going to impact people driving without licenses, driving without plates? What is it going to do to stop that?
So this particular piece of legislation deals with those. It will capture the rear plate for those that are driving. So that's one of the things it will do. One of the things, this is one step. This is the first step. So there will be others. We are working on being able to stop. There's no law enforcement agency in the state of Wisconsin that I'm aware of that has statutory authority to stop someone just because of a license plate. So that is something that we're working on to give them authority to do that. I checked with the Legislative Reference Bureau on yesterday, and we were trying to figure out if there was a way to utilize that. They have to have, and I'm saying probable cause, but that's probably the wrong word, Chief. You have to have a reason to stop someone, and you can add that on. Am I getting that correct? He said I'm getting that correct. So it can't just be for the plate itself. So this is a deficiency in our law. That's something I'm working on as well. Hopefully we'll be able to draft some legislation, and we'll all be back to talk about that and how that can be done.
How many cameras are you hoping to get in the city?
The way the legislation is written, it would be a maximum of 75 in the city of Milwaukee. They would be spread out across each aldermanic district. So this is something that we're trying to make equitable. And one of the things I want to point out is that some people who are anti-red light cameras, they have a fear that it will be inequitably placed in certain neighborhoods where primarily African Americans or other persons of color live. That is not true. So this will allow up to 5 cameras in each aldermanic district. With a maximum of 75 cameras at those intersections in the city. So this is equitable placement across the city, making sure that we can curb reckless driving. This is, when people talk about red light cameras, I say it's voluntary. You don't have to run a red light and you won't get a ticket.
Have you had any conversations with Republicans that lead you to believe that this is more likely to pass than the last time it was brought up?
I have. I've talked with Representative Novak and Senator Bernier. They are 100% on board with this legislation. It's something we've talked about extensively. They were also some of the chief co-authors the last time this came around. Like I said, third time, I hope, is a charm.
Do you think Speaker Voss will sign off on something like this?
I actually do. Any more questions?
There's a 500,000 Wisconsin drivers that are either revoked or driving with expired. How is that going to be enforceable given that situation of the
I think that would come, like the chief said, this is just a part of this. So we're trying to create a comprehensive package to move forward with trying to get people who are consistent violators of the law. Like I said, we just have to expand authority in some areas, but make sure that we do that in the correct way. So we are looking for expansive legislation that would allow law enforcement agencies, even if it's just state troopers or county officials, to be able to stop individuals when they notice plates are missing, to be able to do that. So they have to have other things that go along. So if you're weaving in and out of traffic right now and the chief stops you, he has the ability to do that because you're driving erratically. Then when he notices you don't have a plate, that's an addition. That's in addition too. So we are still working on that to expand that scope of authority. Ma'am, you had a question?
Yes, I did. I had quite a few questions. I expected sort of a different environment, but this is regarding the street lights, installing cameras at the street lights, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to read off some of my questions, even if you can't consider them here today. I would like to have my voice heard, because this has been a concern of mine, the street lights, because I'm concerned about how effective they will be.
Yes, ma'am. If you want to
go
ahead. If there's a lot of questions, I can answer them individually with you. So I can do that, and I want to make sure I give you a robust answer.
Right. So I don't mind if you can answer them. I just like to have them out there. So.
Okay.
Okay. So, what is the cost of installing the street lights? Who will pay for the cameras? I recall at a previous meeting, I think it was on 64th and Capitol, that some organization or company was going to pay for the installation of the cameras. But then those cameras have to be maintained. They have to be monitored by presumably police officers. So where's that cost going to come? Who's going to pay for that? Who will monitor the cameras? What will enforcement look like? Ticketing to me is useless for the reckless drivers, because they're not going to pay the ticket. And if there's not going to be some other penalty or enforcement, I don't see how the cameras will help. And I don't see how they would help in any event. When I had the meeting before, I did a little bit of research, and I found that in other states that had that, some of them abandoned those cameras because they found them to be problematic and ineffective.
Well, one of the things we'll say is that when there are grants available to law enforcement agencies for cameras, so we'll be working with the Common Council to do that. We have a traffic safety unit now. We'll be working with the chief to do that and work the cameras through that department as well within the police department. So one of the things I know that people look to Illinois a lot, our neighbors to the south, and they talk about some of the things that happen in Illinois. So Illinois does still have the red light cameras. They also had a company that was in bed with some of their politicians. Trust and believe I'm not in bed with a red light company. So we want to make sure that we have adequate distribution across all aldermanic districts, and also ensuring that we have our traffic safety unit supported so that they can monitor those, and that the enforcement mechanism will be the ticket until we can expand anything else for the chief or his personnel to do it in person. Thank you so much. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
The last time this was brought up, it was made pretty clear this is not for the people going 5 miles over the limit. Which
right.
In Chicago, I know a lot of people getting 5 miles.
5 miles over.
Limit,
exactly.
Traffic camera tickets. Is that going to happen with this legislation or no?
No, this is not a 5 mile and over. This is a 20 mile. This is 20 mph over. So this is the same exact legislation as it was before. We didn't change anything. We're trying to make sure that we get it passed this time. So that's where we are. Thank you so much, everyone.
I'd like to reiterate two questions that I had.
Thank you.
And that being, what is enforcement going to look like? Is that going to be effective to solve this problem? And the other thing is, what about the ongoing cost of the cameras, the
So that comes from the tickets. So that's where that comes from.